The NBA just announced its opening day games, and I could not be more excited, but I think they made a huge mistake with one of their choices. We can't say opening night anymore because there's a game at 3 p.m. We are so pumped for this upcoming year. We're in the process of previewing all 30 NBA teams. We've made a good chunk in that so far, but can't wait to preview the rest of the teams for this upcoming year. I think we're in for a really, really good NBA season, and this will start opening night. I love the tradition of always the first game being the team that won the NBA championship. This year at 3 p.m., the NBA is featuring a game between the Boston Celtics and the Detroit Pistons, with the reasoning that I'm hearing reported being that they want to make it a European primetime game. And I think that's where the NBA kind of messed up for multiple reasons. 3 p.m. is a really weird time in America, and that's your primary fan base is your American NBA fans. But I'm okay with you catering to Europe. But if you're going to cater to Europe, why not focus on one of the big European superstars? Because we have a ton of them in the NBA. You think of guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo, Luka Doncic, Victor Wembanyama, Nikola Jokic. By the time Wemby plays later in the night, it's no longer European primetime. It's super late in Europe. So I think the NBA kind of missed the mark there with Boston. Detroit is not really two teams that are, have a heavy European following. I know Boston has a big, fan base just in general, but these are two teams that we're super excited for, Boston and Detroit, but it just doesn't feel like that should have been the choice for the opening game of the season. It either should have been the New York Knicks, their global superstar, New York City, Madison Square Garden, just a very global team, or it should have been one of your European superstars if you were really that focused on catering towards the European market. But in my opinion, opening night had so much aura with the 7 p.m. game and then the game right after that around 10 p.m. most of the time. I wish the NBA would have just stuck to that. I know that a lot of sports leagues are trying to make certain days feel like more events, because that's what people tune in for more. People used to tune in on a day-to-day basis to watch their favorite team play, watch their favorite sport. But now leagues have to make things a little bit more of an event, which we've seen, kind of time and time again. So the NBA doing 3 opening day games will be very interesting. We will be covering each and every one of those games. I'm super pumped for it. But on the other hand, as we look at these games, obviously the Celtics Pistons, that'll be a very fascinating matchup. You're talking about a new look Celtics team, trading Jaylen Brown for Paul George. How will that team look this upcoming year? Jayson Tatum kind of getting a little more time rehabbing from his Achilles injury. You added Mitchell Robinson. That Celtics team is going to be interesting to watch this upcoming year. The Detroit Pistons have still not re-signed Jalen Duren, and he was a key piece to their success last season. I know he was really bad in the playoffs, but their regular season, they were the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, and he was a large part of that, being an all-NBA level player. So that matchup is fascinating. I can't wait to watch that game. Moving on to the second game of the night, the New York Knicks versus the Philadelphia 76ers. The NBA nailed this matchup. I am not a huge believer in the Philadelphia 76ers for this upcoming season, but I absolutely cannot wait to watch them play. I think you have so many alpha males on one team. You're talking about, Tyrese Maxey, LeBron James, Jaylen Brown, Joel Embiid, VJ Edgecombe. All those guys presumably will be available for opening night. That team will be very, very entertaining to watch and see if those guys can all coexist on the same roster. And that's my question mark for them, is will that team have enough passing? Will they be able to give up the ball and really sacrifice for each other? Maybe I'll be wrong about that, but I just don't see it as a great fit, especially when Embiid goes down. I don't love their backup center. The New York Knicks, the team that just won an NBA championship. I can't wait to watch how they come into this next season. Obviously, they lost Mitchell Robinson. Their owner, James Dolan, said they're not going into the second apron, so this team didn't make a ton of additions. They lost Mitchell Robinson, and it'll be very fun to see how they are looking as we enter next season, because they were so hot in the playoffs last year. I mean, they were blowing teams out. They went on an unbelievable run, dominated the NBA playoffs, and is that the team that we're going to see going forward with just this increased confidence and a team that runs through the Eastern Conference, a very shaky Eastern Conference. A lot of really talented teams in the East, but every team has a question mark, in my opinion. Like I said, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Boston Celtics, the Pistons haven't signed Duran, the Miami Heat, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Bam Adebayo, but you have no guard play. So can the Knicks repeat what they were able to, grasp last year in the playoffs will be the question. That opening night game will be incredible, though. It'll be the banner ceremony. You got LeBron James. You got the Philadelphia 76ers. That game will be absolutely spectacular. I believe I already saw that it's the most expensive opening day game of all time. And our final game of the night, the San Antonio Spurs versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. A rematch of an incredible Western Conference Finals between these two basketball teams. That series was so fun to watch. We obviously know the dynamic between Victor Wembanyama, Chet Holmgren. You're talking about arguably the two of the three best players in the NBA, and Shai and Wemby. Those guys going head-to-head this upcoming year. How will the Spurs respond to losing in the NBA Finals? A lot of times in sports, you see the team that loses in the finals, in the Super Bowl, whatever, is unable to recapture that same magic they had that previous year. But this Spurs team you see is an up-and-coming basketball team and developing their young guys. Dylan Harper was really, really good in the playoffs. Will he step into a starting spot, or are they going to continue to bring him off the bench? De'Aaron Fox struggled in the playoffs, but he was dealing with injuries. Stephon Castle kind of had some ups and downs, high turnover moments, but some really good moments in the playoffs overall. And Wemby, the narrative is interesting about him and how it will continue to develop. We saw some really, really high moments for Wemby and some lower moments. When he elbowed Naz Reid. Some maybe borderline dirty plays out of Victor Wembanyama, which I don't mind as a competitor. I love, kind of doing a little extra and really going out there and fighting the other team. But you don't want to see dirty stuff that could potentially injure guys. So how will the narrative, how will people view Victor Wembanyama as we get through this next year? The Oklahoma City Thunder, they lost some pieces and had to make some slight changes to their team, but they're still super deep, super talented, and you have to believe that they're coming back with a vengeance because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren all have something to prove this upcoming year. J-Dub in particular, this team had a better record without him on the floor. He was injured in the playoffs, so the way that we view him has kind of been impacted a little bit as far as, are you able to stay consistently healthy for your squad and be a plus factor when you are on the court? Chet Holmgren fell apart against Victor Wembanyama. Is that something that just is happening against Wemby? Can you overcome it? Or is this something that will be a trend against other players in the league? That's a big question mark. In SGA, you've won 2 MVPs in a row. You've had unbelievable guard years, some of the best guard years we've ever had the last 2 years. But the way that people view you is very negative right now with the flopping, with the flailing, with the falling over. Can you start to rebuild your brand and the way the NBA fans view you as a player is the question. All in all, the NBA did a great job with those later 2 games. I still think the Celtics Pistons is kind of weird to have at 3 p.m. on opening day, but I couldn't be more excited for it, because all 6 of these basketball teams have huge storylines heading in to this next year. And I can't wait to watch. If you love the NBA, make sure you take a second to subscribe to the channel. Again, we are covering all NBA teams. I know ESPN, Fox Sports, all those sorts of things just want to focus on, the Lakers, wherever LeBron goes, things like that. But I love the NBA. I love watching every team and how they develop throughout a season. So we will be covering all of them. Appreciate y'all watching. Cyborg out.